casting was announced.
What if I told you about getting messages from strangers on the internet?
Yeah. But when it's about Lord of the Rings, I'm there for it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm there for it.
I was always envious, and of course, seeing Ian Holm pop up at the end there, I just always thought was and of course Christopher Lee, not to mention. No, it's and of course my dear old friend Ian McKellen. Yeah.
But I'm particularly excited about this one because I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
You do not seek an alliance. You seek a throne. You will live to regret this, old man. He's dead. You will pay for this with your life.
I think I read that you had narrated an audiobook quite a few years ago as well.
Yeah,
so what's your own... Yeah.
That's about it. I did this audiobook a few years ago, which I was called upon, and I think it was through the New Zealand guys, I think it was. And I thought, maybe this is an oversight for not casting me in any of those movies. Yeah, but, it just never came about. I Sean Bean, the late wonderful Bernard Laurence, I just thought that was a great bunch of actors who did that, and I was always envious, and of course, seeing Ian Holm pop up at the end there, I just always thought was and of course Christopher Lee, not to mention. No, it's and of course my dear old friend Ian McKellen. Yeah.
And yeah, obviously these stories and Tolkien's work, fans are very kind of protective of it and feel very passionately about it. Was that a consideration at all for you in stepping into the world?
No, because I had real ignorance. I didn't know about it. I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was some kind of, some spin-off thing that was really done. I don't even know well, of course I knew it was animated, but I thought it was just... It was a very small scale, I thought. I was a million miles away from knowing what this wonderful film is.
Yeah, once you knew you were playing the character of Helm, did you go back and look at the stuff that Tolkien had written about him in his histories and all that, or is it not really necessary?
I think if the script, if the script is great, that's what you deal with. And you take it from the script, and it's a limited, it's a very limited thing that you're doing out of that vast amount of literature. But if the script is great, you just allow yourself to just let the script take over, and and the power of imagination.
I didn't, because our writers are walking encyclopedias.
Yeah.
So I thought there's nothing that I'm going to find that they haven't already mined, into it and formed into a jewel. And also, there is not really anything of Hera. She's unnamed daughter of Helm. You never see her really or hear about her. So giving her a voice, I felt in a weird way probably slightly more relaxed than maybe you, because there was no storyline about her. But the script held everything that I needed, and then, if there was ever a moment when I was in the booth and I needed a bit of a prompt or I needed to know something, Philippa and Arthur and Phoebe are there, and I'd ask them and they'd immediately go, yep, don't even have to look.
Yeah, having those guys, Artie, Phoebe, and Philippa around you is like having a cheat code, isn't it?
Oh my God,
Any questions you have, they'll know the answer to. But looking into Freya, one of the things that really interested me for my own research was like the geography of where he came from and how he was actually a part of the Rohirrim. He wasn't actually from Rohan, but of course through his blood and through his family, he had this connection. And that teaches you a little bit about the conflict that might be in his heart that he's wrestling with silently, and that starts to inform your character. But, Freya is quite significant in all of this. Yeah. And I didn't really appreciate that until I started getting messages from strangers on the internet when the casting was announced.
What if I told you about getting messages from strangers on the internet?
Yeah. But when it's about Lord of the Rings, I'm there for it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm there for it. And they wanted to know about Freya, and I was like, wow, this is a serious, task ahead. And I have to be professional about this. I don't want to let these guys down.
Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned that about the messages from fans, because this has got Lord of the Rings in general has got such an engaged, passionate fan base, and they're not necessarily particular, but they care a lot about the lore and about the canon. Is that a consideration for you guys? Are you kind of looking forward or nervous or what's the
Paroxysm of all the
all
above.
the things.
All of the
Petrified.
above. Yeah.
No, I think they've been so gracious actually with this film, and they've really opened their hearts up to it. Obviously with the exception of some outliers, but for the most part, it's actually been a space of love and acceptance from the fans, which I expected, because I also think they love the stories, they love Sir Tolkien. And they sort of, I think, like us, want to see more of the stories in any art form. And I think the art form of anime lends itself so beautifully to the world of Tolkien, with these incredible landscapes and these massive battles, that I hope it'll do it justice. I think it does.
It's just a very new and exciting way of looking at stories and worlds that we're familiar with and love so much. I don't see how you can be anything other than thrilled at the prospect.
Yeah.
You're taking this story from the appendices, but really fleshing it out a lot as well, especially putting certain characters at the forefront. How much do you enjoy then kind of, I guess, anticipating the reaction from fans? Because as you know, they obviously are so deeply invested in all the lore and in all the history that Tolkien wrote in those appendices.
I have to say, the fans are always kind of sitting a little bit on my shoulder. I do feel it's not the weight of that. Because I know in the end you have to make a good film for its own sake, and you're never going to please everybody. But I also, I'm a fan of Professor Tolkien's work, so we're never trying to change something lightly or expand upon something that in a way that doesn't feel authentic. So we actually do work really, really hard to try and, live up to, I would say, people's expectations. And that's all you can do as a filmmaker. But I'm particularly excited about this one because I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. And obviously there's a bit of continuity there in terms of the cast, with Miranda also coming back as the narrator of the story. Was that important to have some kind of link to those earlier films and to kind of keep the audience, harken back to that, I suppose?
Yeah, we needed to do both things. We wanted to have something that was new and fresh. Specifically, we wanted a story that didn't necessarily involve like the One Ring or a Dark Lord or even particularly wizards and orcs and things like that. Although we knew that we wanted those on the periphery of this story. So we wanted this story to be set against that, and we wanted a story that was a standalone story that we could tell right the way through in one film. And then we also wanted to introduce some new, fresh characters into this world, because I think that's what was really interesting to us as storytellers, but also would invigorate, I think, the franchise. And so, thinking of all those things, this particular story was the one that really was like, ticking all those boxes.
Did you get much of a chance to speak to the other voice actors playing the roles, or is it?
No, I was on my own. It was on my Todd Sloan. I didn't, and I mean that works two ways, which is it's great. It focuses you, and it's lovely, and it's good, and it's nice to have a bit of camaraderie, or the other things. It means, thank God I don't have to deal with other actors.
And what have you thought of, once you've seen all the incredible animation with the voice as well, what's that been like for you to see the film?
No, this is an extraordinary experience. It really is. I mean, it's not bullshit. No, I mean, it really is. I just think what they've done is I'm way in awe of, and as I've said before, and we're a very small cog in a huge and a magnificent wheel, and we're not, we are. We do our job, and we love doing our job, and they pay us, which is good. Well, that's always good. But that's the joy of it. It's the joy of the work, and then you realise that it's so much more than what you are. You are part of the sum of the whole, but you're only part of it.
Yeah,
a key part,
yes,
but a part of it.
Mentioning the anime format of telling this story. When you're getting into the voice booth, how much have you already seen of the, you know, the images and what it's going to look like? Do you have a good idea already?
No, actually, we did. You and I met in 2022 in Piccadilly, and
That's
he'd
right.
shown us the drawing of the opening sequence of the Eagles. That's in the
Eagles,
trailer, I can
that's-
say that. Of the opening sequence, and it was just the drawing. They had one piece for me. They had drawn Hera in her battle outfit. You didn't. They didn't know
I
what
didn't have
Freyalaf looked
anything.
like.
I didn't have
They
anything.
hardly knew what Helm looked like. So we went in basically blind to the
Yeah.
booth the first time
That
and
first time in,
yeah.
was it spring 22?
Spring 22, yeah.
Yeah, we went in virtually blind. Didn't have an idea. We just had the wonderful script and multi-layered characters with lots of dimensions and
Yeah.
depth to them, which really assists in like you know, making it soulful and truthful within. But we didn't know what they'd look like, how they'd move, how they'd relate to the world around them. We didn't. But then each time we went
Yeah.
back to the booth, the animation had come on.
Yeah.
And the
few-
nuances came through, and the nuances
Yeah.
in your voice and your you know the way that the way that you might sort of fit in a scene came through, and it was amazing to do.
The experience, yeah, because then it starts to inform how you perform them. When you
Yeah.
start to see
Yeah.
what your character might look and how they might move. And that was an amazing and original way of doing working. I've never worked like this
never
before.
worked like this before. No.
Amazing.